So, a much more positive day for the local market. Earlier I spoke to Martin Lakos from Macquarie Private Wealth. Martin Lakos, a big rebound today on the market. Was the market a bit oversold perhaps?
Yeah, look, the market was probably very oversold, Tiki. You know, we've fallen in the last 7 days over 150 odd points, and we're down about nearly 11% since mid-April. So very much a lot of nervousness built into the market. And certainly the news out of the US, which really drove markets, helped that relief rally. We have to see if there's more substantial news behind that to continue the rally. But Wall Street, or the Dow Jones, up 202 points, based on about three things. First, we had news out that President Obama did cite that they were close to agreement on their debt ceiling negotiations with the Republicans. Second, we had much stronger housing start numbers. 629,000 new homes started, and the permits numbers were also better than expected, so the market liked that. And thirdly, pretty strong earnings results coming out of the US. In particular, Apple reported after the market, much better the result, but we'll probably talk a bit more about that later on.
BHP Billiton production numbers were out. They were quite strong, weren't they?
Yeah, solid numbers. In fact, a rebound for Queensland coal for BHP, numbers up 40%. We're still only about 65% of operating capacity to what they were doing on quarterly sales all of last year, but still a pretty strong number and continuing to come through. Petroleum was up about 21%, which was good. And we also had a big surprise out of the copper division, up 6% above expectations. Both Escondida and Pampa Norte doing very well. And more importantly, Escondida has upgraded its total resource base. So there's an additional 55 million tonnes of mineable copper to come out of the ground over the coming years. So a really good number for out of BHP. And that stock, as you'll understand, was up nearly 2%, or 82 cents to 43.44.
Now, otherwise, company-specific news has been pretty thin on the ground. Is that because of blackout season?
Yeah, very much so, Tiki. We're sort of a week or so before we start getting some company reports here in Australia. It really kicks on in full first week of August. And typically, unless there's major variations by companies to what we see as analyst consensus numbers on the profits, we don't get a lot of news until the reporting season comes through. What we're going to be watching very closely is not only the numbers themselves, which looks like pretty close in line to those analyst numbers, but what the outlook statements are going to be saying. And stocks will be rewarded or penalised in share price terms, we think, on those outlook statements.
Now, in contrast, across the Pacific, of course, we've had some very good early profit season results from companies like Apple and Coke. Is that going to continue?
Yeah, well, it looks like it so far. We've had 41 companies report, and 35 have come out with better than expected results. That's better than analyst expectations. And certainly you've mentioned a couple there. IBM came out with a really good number yesterday. They noted in their outlook statement they've got pretty buoyant sales. Apple came in with a profit of $7.3 billion, again, beating all analyst expectations. So at this stage, it looks like top-line growth is the big theme. So companies have been cutting costs in the US. That's improving earnings, but they're actually seeing some real volume growth coming through, and that's pretty good news. And if that continues, that could well be a further driver, adding some momentum to the relief rally that we've already seen overnight.
Yes, very good to get some good corporate news out of the US. Martin Lakos, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Tiki. My pleasure.